Hello and welcome back to the Three-Handed Bandits channel. It's Nathan and Aiden back with another video for you today. Today we're going to be breaking down and analyzing every single week 3 matchup, giving you our predictions, score predictions, some of our best bets for the next NFL week. Before we get into this video, please go ahead and like and subscribe and share this video with somebody that you care about. Before we get into it, we'll talk about just overall, give you a quick little recap of our records so far. So currently, Aiden has a slightly better record, going 20-12 on his game picks. I'm right behind him at 18-14. I had a poor week 1 and had a really good week last week. Last week you were kind of average, but you had a really good week 1. So far we're doing all right on that. Before we get into it, what were your kind of main takeaways and thoughts on week 2, and what are you feeling about heading into week 3?
Week 2, there was a lot of close games, and it was a lot of surprising wins because the better team obviously squeaked out the couple wins, and these very close games I liked. And week 3, it's a weird slate this week. Earlier in the day, it should be closer games. Going into later in the day, it seems like too easy of picks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so we'll see. When we're just going to go ahead and get straight into it. And we're starting off early in the noon slate. And we're going to be talking about the Tennessee Titans going to Cleveland to take on the Cleveland Browns. Tennessee is going to be out several notable people, including Peter Skoronski, their rookie guard. Looks like DeAndre Hopkins is more than likely not going to be playing. And so the Titans are going to be, missing a couple of big pieces. But obviously the Browns, everybody saw Nick Chubb had his knee the worst possible direction I think a knee could be facing on the human body. And so it's going to be a really interesting game to see how, the Browns kind of can play with the loss of Nick Chubb, and how Tennessee is going to function as an offense without some important pieces. With that being said, reluctantly, I'm going to stick with the Titans. I'm not making this a lock or anything crazy, but I think they're going to edge it out. I do think that Cleveland's offense is really not going to take as much of a hit. You know what? Fuck it. Actually, I'm switching. Changing my mind. I'm switching. Going Cleveland. Going Cleveland. I think Cleveland's still going to be able to move the ball very well. I don't really think their offense is going to change. Even with Jerome Ford or Kareem Hunt, whoever ends up being the running back, they're going to be able to give you 80 or 90% of what Nick Chubb was. So I do think losing Nick Chubb hurts, but I still think, this offense has such a great offensive line. They're still going to have an efficient running game. And I don't think Deshaun Watson's going to look all that great passing the ball. The Titans also may or may not have Danico Autry, who's an important piece for that defensive line. So I'm switching my mind. I'm going Cleveland, who I think is going to be able to physically match up to this Titans team. So I'm going Cleveland to win 17-14. So I'll have Tennessee cover the spread. But I'm going to go Cleveland wins this week at home.
Man, now you have me switching up my mind. I'm gonna go. I think I'm just gonna stick with my gut. I'm going with Titans. I'm gonna even lock it in. They looked solid last week. I do think missing Hopkins is gonna hurt them a little bit, having that reliable threat to where they can get the ball out to. But I have a little bit just less faith in how Cleveland looked post losing Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
Ford had that long run, that 74-yard run, very, very good on him. But I don't think with him as the main back and possibly Kareem Hunt coming back, I think this first week's going to be like working out the kinks basically for that backfield, and Deshaun Watson, him being not too spectacular like he used to be. I'm getting the Titans winning 20-17. Still a close game, but I'm going to lock in for the Titans.
I really should have looked at the over-under before I kind of made this. What's it at right now? It's at 39.5, which, that's really low. But, dude, I could honestly see this game going either way. I feel like Cleveland is going to be most of what we've seen without Nick Chubb. And, frankly, if it wasn't for, 2 fluky defensive touchdowns, they would have taken care of the Steelers very, very easily. So I do think Cleveland's defense is going to do an adequate job of slowing down this Titans offense, but this is going to be a gross game to watch. And, I'll be watching because I've been really rooting for the Titans this year, but it's not going to be a pretty game on either side of the ball.
The moment I pick the Titans is when they're going to lose. It was what's happening because I've been against them the past 2 weeks, and it's been 1-1. This is the week to where I'm like, you know what? Give me the Titans, and they're going to show up week 1 stat. I'm going to get so sad. But
yeah, no, this is I think out of every game this week, this might be my most 50-50. I mean, I literally changed my pick in the middle of talking, so you can tell I could see this one going either way. So while you opened up with your lock, I'm going to go ahead and transition to my next lock. And I'm going to go for Atlanta to go into Detroit and beat Detroit. And Detroit's going to lose 2 home games in a row. Sounds crazy on paper. But, part of the reason I picked the Lions to lose to Seattle was I don't think the Seattle defense was good enough, especially in the defensive line, to get after Geno Smith. And so I thought Seattle's really going to have an explosive day through the air. And I think Atlanta is about to have an equally explosive game running the ball. Bijan looks legit, I think, especially now that Nick Chubb's down and Saquon Barkley's going to be out for a few weeks. I think Bijan Robinson is clearly a top 3 running back in the league. Like, he is just dynamic. And I just don't see this defensive line or this defense being able to stop the Falcons moving the ball. I don't think Desmond Ritter's going to have, a spectacular game or anything. But, all the Falcons need is for Desmond Ritter to not make a whole lot of mistakes and just give them adequate quarterback play. And, it had them knock off Green Bay. So I think Atlanta's going to do the exact same thing. And they're just going to go in and just run the ball at will. Lions offense has not looked, incredibly sharp. And they did have some injuries. They're going to be without Taylor Decker, their left tackle. They're going to be without Hai Vaitai, their right guard. Josh Reynolds is a little bit shaken up. Amon-Ra St. Brown's a little shaken up. David Montgomery is going to be out for several weeks. So, this Lions offense I don't think is going to be super explosive. And I just don't see a world in which they're going to be able to stop Bijan in this Falcons running game.
I completely agree. The only thing is, I got to stick with the Lions. I love Dan Campbell too much. I have Atlanta covering for sure, that +3. But I don't know. Something's just telling me the Lions, at least last year is what I'm thinking, they love to just get in these close games and just start throwing the heck out of the ball to last year. It was to these nobody receivers. They still have these guys that have another year under their belt in this system. So where I think, yes, it's going to be a high-scoring game no matter what. The Falcons' run game is going to be present in this game. It's just whether or not Desmond Ritter's pass game is going to be in this. And whether or not that appears will affect the game. If Desmond Ridder can move the ball like just as good or like a little bit under their run game, they win the game without a doubt. But I think that the Lions can pull through and win this game. I have it at 27-24 Lions. I love them too much to bet against them, but the Atlanta is looking scary in this run game. So it's a big 50-50 game for me, in my opinion.
So I just realized I did not say my score prediction, but it's really funny though because I have the Falcons winning 27-24. So we're in the same score line, just flipped. But yeah, no, just for me, it's going to come down to the Falcons have a pretty solid defense. Jesse Bates is an elite safety. AJ Terrell is, really developing and becoming a stud. And I just don't think that Jared Goff is going to have this super explosive passing game. And I think you're going to need a lot more than that Lions defense to stop Bijan at this point. So that's why I'm going the Falcons to win that. The next game we're talking about, your New Orleans Saints are traveling to Green Bay. Lock number 2 of the week. Got you 3 locks in the first 3 games. Green Bay at home is going to dispose of the New Orleans Saints. I don't believe in Derek Carr yet. This offense still looks a little sketchy. And this Packers team, to me, has looked really solid. There is a couple injury concerns that, could spell trouble for this team. I'm just going to throw in a quick little disclaimer. If Aaron Jones does not play for the Packers, I'm actually going to switch this to the Saints win. But it's still going to be a lock for the Packers. I think Jordan Love is still going to have a decent game. He's been playing pretty well for this team. And this defense does have a lot of talent to where I think they're going to be able to win this game. It is their home opener. People are going to be fired up in Lambeau to see the first Jordan Love home game. So I just have a feeling that the Packers are going to win. I'm going 23-20 with them narrowly finding a way to edge out the New Orleans Saints.
I can't. They've been looking iffy, but I can't bet against them. My home team, New Orleans Saints. I have them covering. Obviously, it's a nearly pick 'em at New Orleans +1. I actually have a very similar score to you. I have 21-20. I have them just edging out. This is another 50-50 game in my mind. Again, the Aaron Jones is going to be in the air, but I like whether or not he plays. But still, I like the Saints too much to say no to them. I really think Derek Carr can do an adequate job. He's been looking kind of iffy. Last game, he actually threw the ball pretty well. It's just his decision making is kind of scary to me, where he's throwing these balls in these really crazy, like either in a triple coverage. I was so just like astonished to see that he was throwing it. I mean, Chris Olave, good receiver, throwing in triple coverage, scary as hell. And I don't know how I feel about seeing that week 2. I'm going with Saints. Obviously, I'm keeping it at 50-50, but I can't say no to my New Orleans Saints. I hope they win. I hope they pull it off, but we'll see.
Yeah, so would you look at that, guys? They got 3 locks in as many games. It's going to be some entertaining games early. The next game, we got the Denver Broncos traveling to the Miami Dolphins, and I just don't think this is going to be a very competitive game. The Denver Broncos have not shown me enough to where they're going to be able to compete against this Dolphins roster. Even without Jalen Waddle, I still think that this Dolphins team is going to be really good. The only thing I would be worried about for the Miami Dolphins is Kareem Jackson trying to headhunt and injure somebody else. He's already forced 2 concussions, and I'd be scared of him going after Tyreek Hill or Tua. But I have this one being 31-17. I just don't think that this Denver Broncos team is good enough on any point to match up with the Dolphins.
Okay, disclaimer. We do not talk about our predictions beforehand. I have the Dolphins winning 30-18. How close these scores are is being kind of scary. Obviously, I feel the exact same way. Dolphins are too electric. Even like Jalen Waddle is a key piece. It's just going to adjust the defense towards Tyreek a little bit, but his speed is just too good to be true. Like I said, Dolphins, they cover, they win. Not surprising. Broncos have been looking I am not excited. Like I was at the beginning of the season to see Sean Payton come back to coaching with this team. I'm just like, man, the only bright spot they're getting, not even bright spot, the only publicity they're getting is Kareem Jackson absolutely just dogging on people and injuring them. And is Jalen Waddle for sure out? That's the real question. Is he?
He's been in the concussion protocol. He has not practiced all week. I don't know if he's actually listed as out or not, but
either way, it's not going to change the effect of the game, in my opinion. It might give the Dolphins more points for all I know. But yeah, it's a pretty clean cut. I think it's hysterical how close our predictions are getting.
Yeah, no, Jalen Waddle did not practice Wednesday or Thursday, so more than likely he is not going to play. But regardless if he does or not, I don't think it's going to affect much. But now we're going to head into the next game, which I think is going to end up being the game of the week. The LA Chargers, the Minnesota Vikings. Both teams have 0-2 records. Both teams cannot play a lick of defense, and I really don't think much is going to change in this game. However, I am going to go with what is actually an upset, the LA Chargers. I just think that the LA Chargers are just a better team. They got a better quarterback. I think, they have a lot more talent on defense. And even though the defense hasn't been schemed up very well, and I don't think Brandon Staley is a great coach, at the end of the day, I'm just going to bet on the team who I think has a better quarterback and who I trust a little bit more. And so I'm going Justin Herbert and the Chargers to win on a very high-scoring, close game. My score prediction is going to be 34-33 in the favor of the Chargers.
See, I I've been going 50-50 back and forth. Like, you could coin flip, and I wouldn't really care. The only reason I'm going to go with the Vikings is Austin Eckler. Him not being in that game will affect, not tremendously, but just enough in my mind. I don't know why I'm going with Vikings, even though they had a terrible run game. I think they'll squeeze it out. I had a little bit of a lower scoring game in 24-21. I'm going with just the home dog Vikings. Both teams being 0-2. They're solid offensive teams for being 0-2. It's just I don't really know, man. I honestly I might change the Bolts now that I'm talking out loud, but screw it. I'm gonna stay with the Vikings. But yeah, this I wouldn't be surprised in either team winning. I am excited for this game. I'm off work, so I'm gonna be watching this game fully. I'm really excited seeing this game. So
Yeah, no, to me, this is going to be a game where you bet the over, have fun. If you have a fantasy football player that plays on this team, play him because I think it's going to be an electric game. And even without Austin Eckler, I do think that the Chargers are going to be just fine, move the ball well. But yeah, not a lick of defense going to be played. This is two desperate 0-2 teams, but Brandon Staley's on the hot seat, so I think he needs this win just a little bit more than the Vikings do. The next thing we're going to be talking about is the New England Patriots heading on to the New York Jets. New England is also a desperate team. They're 0-2. They've gone against two really good teams, and they've played pretty valiantly, but have come up just short. But I do think that they're just a better team than the Zach Wilson-led New York Jets. So I have them winning. I had them covering the spread, but I just know that this is going to be a low-scoring game because you have two really good defenses. But I also think it's going to be a weird ass scoring game. Like, this is not going to be like a regular NFL score. Like, my score prediction is 15-11. Like, this game is going to end on like a safety, and there's going to be like some weird like blocked extra point for a return or something. Like, this is going to be a weird fucking game. 15-11. I'll call my shot right now. There's going to be a safety in this game. Like, this is just going to be a weird, gross defensive game, but give me the Patriots to win 15-11.
again, I have 16-10 Patriots. It's not as weird of a score, but again, low scoring, two solid defenses. I feel the exact same way. I'm not 100%. I'm not even anywhere close to being 100% with seeing Zach Wilson having the ball in his hands. I mean, the surrounding team, I think the only way that they can win this game is their run game. Between they're coming up on their two-headed monster of Cook and Hall. Both these guys are dynamic. I think that's going to be the key to them winning if they do win. Problem is, the Patriots have a solid defense. They've been playing really tough. They just have not been able to get in that win column. I have them covering, like I said, Patriots winning 16-10, very close to your score. I do think something funny like that will happen or could happen, but then again, I don't see it really high scoring at all.
Yeah, I'm definitely in agreement with you there. Next game we're going to be talking about is going to be the Buffalo Bills traveling to Washington to take on the Commanders. Buffalo at the moment is 6-point favorites, and I think that is just about right. My score prediction was going to be 24-18. I switched it to 24-19 in favor of Buffalo just because I didn't want to predict like a push spread. But I think this is going to be, at least early on, will be a somewhat competitive game. But I do think Buffalo at some point is going to pull away. And I think there's going to be a little bit of a backdoor cover. I wouldn't bet on the spread either way because, I mean, as I said, I think it's going to be like 24-18, 24-19 in favor of Buffalo. But I really don't think Washington's going to threaten to win this game.
I completely agree. I see it a lot like last week's matchup to where the Bills were a favorite and everyone's like, oh, like a good Raiders, like a decent Raiders offense could backdoor cover it. The Bills are going to win all the way, but they really pulled away from them. I think there's two options in this game. Bills pull away and like the Commanders cannot come back from it. They're just trying too much and they just can't get the ball rolling, or they play a little better. The Bills still win, obviously, but like you said, a backdoor cover I like. Washington's been looking pretty solid offensively. I do have faith in Sam Howell. I'm not betting on this game. I'm not putting money on this game at all. But I don't know. Someone's telling me I like the Bills. Bills are winning, no problem. The backdoor cover might happen. I have 27-23. I really think that Washington has a strong start and then starts to fade out of the game, and then, oh my gosh, they score last drive. Just kind of, help them out. And that's all I really see happening in this game.
See, the reason I said 24-19, so here's how I predict this game is going to go. So it's going to be 24-13. Washington is going to score a touchdown after the two-minute warning in the fourth quarter. They're going to go for 2 and not get it. That's why it's going to be 24-19. They're going to go for the onside kick, not recover, and the Bills are just going to kneel the game out. That's my prediction. That's another lock for you right there. But yeah, I think Sam Howell's played well, but I don't think he's played well enough to compete against Josh Allen. The next game we're going to be talking about is going to be the Houston Texans traveling down to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't think Houston really has a chance to win this game. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence has really struggled against the Texans in his career thus far, but I think he's going to win this game pretty convincingly. I have it scored being 21-14. To me, this Jaguars offense hasn't looked great enough to where I think they're just going to beat the brakes off the Texans. CJ Stroud also looks pretty well. But even with the injuries the Texans are facing, like they're going to be out Derek Stingley for a while, and Laramie Tunsil is questionable. But I still think that they're going to be pretty serviceable and at least compete a little bit. But I don't necessarily think that they're going to be close to winning this game.
I completely agree. I have them scoring a good amount. I have the Jags. I mean, I can't even favor the Texans until I see any bright spots in their game, really. So I have like the Jags covering and winning 32-20. It's nothing too crazy. I mean, the Jags, I think I just have them like basically every time they get the ball, they're putting points on the board. It's either a field goal or a touchdown. I don't see many punts from them. But the Houston Texans, I can see them really struggling at first and then kind of pick up pace. But I don't know. I can't really favor the Texans ever until I see something that makes me happy. This team right now, I mean, losing Stingley, LSU man, I love him. And that's a big key factor in their defense. Not like whether or not they're winning the game, but still, like he's a solid playmaker on that defense. So give me the Jags.
Yeah, and the next game we're going to be talking about is going to be another bad AFC South team. It's going to be the Colts traveling to Baltimore. The Colts are going to be without Anthony Richardson. They're going to have Gardner Minshew. And I actually think they'd have a better chance of competing in this game if they had Anthony Richardson. Gardner Minshew is a very smart, cerebral quarterback, and he's done a good job of picking apart zone coverages and being super surgical. But the Baltimore Ravens are really not afraid to get up in your face and play some tight man coverage. Not only do I think the Colts don't have the receivers to kind of take advantage of that, but also part of why Gardner Minshew hasn't really nailed down a starting spot is because he is very physically limited. And so he's not really able to make those, tight window throws and those big time throws, basically is what it is. And so I do think that they're going to struggle on the offense. I have them scoring 10 points. And I have Baltimore scoring 24, so I think Baltimore's going to win 24-10 and cover that spread. The Baltimore offense has looked pretty solid. I do think the Colts defense has played pretty well, and they have a decent front seven. I think it's going to limit this Colts offense just a little bit, or this Ravens offense just a little bit. But I really just think the Ravens are kind of just going to keep on coming. And I really don't think that they're going to be in any danger to lose this game either.
I completely agree. Ravens are going to be a solid team against the Colts. I have the score at 28-17. I think the Colts offense are not going to look amazing. Obviously, not having Anthony Richardson, such a like physical guy in the backfield, but like you said, Gardner Minshew is a smart quarterback. I think I can see him putting up like 2 good drives to where they score on, and then a possibility like something happen, they make a decent drive and it's a long field goal. So that's why I had them going for 17 points. I had the Ravens covering, no problem. But yeah, I mean, these 2 games are just not going to be fun to watch if you're a Texans or a Colts fan.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Talking about another team that's not going to be fun to watch if you're a fan of them. The Carolina Panthers are traveling to Seattle to go against the Seahawks, and I really don't see a world in which this Seahawks team doesn't win this game very convincingly. Panthers have not looked great. Bryce Young hasn't been bad. He's had some mistakes. But there hasn't also been a whole lot of good. He's been very just okay, adequate, I guess you could say. He's a rookie. He's going through some learning curves. And I don't necessarily think that, he's going to have a bad game against Seattle. Just the Panthers' offense is so limited in their weapons and how bad their offensive line's been also really been, holding them back. And so I just don't think they're going to move the ball or put up a whole lot of points. And I think Seattle had a poor week 1 against the Rams, but really got things going against Detroit. And I think that they're going to do a good job of getting things going against the Panthers as well. Carolina still does have a solid defense, so I think they might be able to kind of keep them slow in the first half. But I have them winning 31-14. I just think that this offense is inevitable, and I just don't think the Panthers are going to compete. So I have them winning this pretty convincingly and covering that 5.5 spread.
I completely agree. I have the Seattle Seahawks covering. Their offense, their weapons are too dynamic to not do something against this Panthers team. Panthers offense, however, lacks almost everything. Adam Thielen as a number 1. Not saying that he can't be. It's just he hasn't been that guy in a good while.
Yeah, at this age, he's not a number 1.
Yeah, and having him as a number 1, he's an amazing red zone threat. Amazing. It's just everywhere else he's not. Like he'll get 4 catches, a touchdown, 30 yards. That's what I see in his future. So I have him actually scoring the only touchdown that they score. I have 28-13. The Seattle Seahawks basically just taking it away with it. Seahawks team, they look too good against the Lions, especially even though it was a closer game. Their offense was really rolling. So,
yeah. Now the next 2 games we're going to talk about, I think we're just going to end up blowing through just because they're not going to be super exciting. We got the Chicago Bears traveling to Kansas City. It's a 12.5-point spread, which is huge in the NFL, but fucking this entire Bears thing is just starting to become a dumpster fire. You got Justin Fields calling out the coaching. Coaching has been bad on both sides of the ball. There's not a whole lot of talent on this team. The defensive coordinator resigned, and there was all these rumors about him being FBI rated for drugs or other stuff that is probably not appropriate to say on YouTube. But it's just, they had offensive linemen blocking each other. They had poor effort on both. It's just this Chicago Bears team is an absolute dumpster fire. And after calling out coaching, Justin Fields says he's going to go out there and just play his ball. Well, him playing his ball is, having wide open receivers and running into the defensive line. So I don't think that this game is going to be remotely close. And I'm going to predict the biggest kind of lopsided game that I've predicted thus far in our videos. I'm going 36-3 in favor of Kansas City. I think this is going to be a horrible, horrible, horrible game for Chicago Bears fans. And I just don't think Kansas City is going to be who's going to stop them on this Bears team on either end? Like Chris Jones is about to absolutely eat. I think Travis Kelce is going to have a big game and is just going to be the easiest game for Patrick Mahomes. I would be surprised if he's even playing in the 4th quarter. I think it's going to be that lopsided.
I don't deny everything you said. I think it's going to happen. Honestly, I had them scoring one touchdown. I have 32-10 in favor of the Chiefs, only because I see this crap happening. He's got Justin Fields go out there and play his ball. He's going to have this tremendous 56-yard run that he's going to score a touchdown on. And I see that, and then nothing else happens in the game.
Yeah.
I see something crazy like that to where he breaks away and just scores on this long run. Maybe it's not 50+ yards, but it's going to be just spectacular drive, and then he will not be anywhere close to that at all in the entire game. It's going to be an early score, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, he's playing his ball, and then nothing happens. After that, he gets swallowed up, spat out, 32-10 Chiefs.
Yeah, it's not going to be fun if you're a Bears fan. And then the next game, another 12.5-point spread. Cowboys going to Arizona to go against the Cardinals. And while I do think Dallas is going to win this pretty easily, to me, Arizona has played really tough, played really hard. Joshua Dobbs looks really good. This defense has been balling. So I think Arizona is actually going to be able to compete in this game. I have them winning 27-17. I don't think they have the horses to actually. Don't tell me you have the same score.
28-17? Dude.
Close, we're good. But regardless, I don't think that Arizona is going to have the horses to win. But I think their defense will do an adequate job of slowing down this Cowboys offense. And Joshua Dobbs actually looks pretty decent. So I think they'll be able to put up some points. And they'll at least play the Cowboys. They'll be competitive and they'll be physical and try. But at the end of the day, I just think they're going to come up short.
So you have them covering or no? I didn't. I'm not. Okay.
27-17 is 10 points.
Yeah. I have them covering as well at the 11 points at 28-17. But yeah, the Cowboys. The only reason I have Arizona covering at all is because I hate Mike McCarthy. I will continue to say this. I hate him as a coach. I think he is the only reason, if any, that this team can will look bad at all. If there's any part that we're like, man, this looks meh, it's because of him. They have too much talent. I could see them really blowing away if they had a different coach. If they had a different coach, I wouldn't even think Arizona is going to be anywhere close in this game. Personally, I think the Cowboys' offense, Dak and Mike McCarthy combined, no good for me, even though they're still scoring 28 points in my mind against this very tough Arizona defense. But still, Cowboys.
See, I haven't been crazy, blown away or underwhelmed by anything the Cowboys are doing offensively so far this year. It hasn't been – they haven't had to do much, and I really don't think they're going to have to do a whole lot this game either. You know what I mean? It'll be interesting to see what happens when the Cowboys go against an actual NFL team. But to me, being a 12.5 spread, the same as the Bears, is crazy to me just because, the Bears have been such a dumpster fire, but the Cardinals have been a team that's playing hard and, just really.
They've been playing with heart. A lot of heart.
With heart. And so I think that they're going to at least remain somewhat competitive.
Well, I mean, they also don't have Diggs, right? Isn't Diggs just injured for the rest of the year for the Cowboys?
Yeah,
that's a big hurt.
But to me, I feel like that's honestly not that big of a deal. At least, especially in this game, it's not going to mean jack shit.
Oh no, I'm just in the future of the Cowboys. That is a key piece of whether.
Yeah, but we're talking about week 3 though, and I think his injury is not going to mean anything. We're just going to go ahead and kind of pick up the pace a little bit because it is getting a little bit of a longer video. We're going to be talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers going to the Las Vegas Raiders. For Sunday Night Football, another primetime game for the Steelers early in the season. And I think I'm going with Pittsburgh to win. I've been kind of going back and forth on this. Do I want to switch? To me, it's kind of just interesting why the Raiders are a favorite. To me, this almost just seems like Vegas knows something. So I'm almost convinced to switch to Vegas. I'll stay with Pittsburgh. I'm not confident about it. I'll stay with Pittsburgh. 24-20 is my score. this defense really looked like the version of the Steelers defense we got against the Browns was the version I was expecting to see. And while I do think that, the Saint or I don't know what I'm saying, I can't talk. Well, I do think the Raiders, looked decent week 1. Week 2, they really got their lunch ate. Well, they do have some good offensive pieces. They have Colton Miller, who's a really, great left tackle. At the end of the day, when you have this, edge rush duo with TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, who each scored a touchdown last week, like they're just a scary duo. And so, yeah, I'll go 24-20. I do think this is going to be the best version of the Steelers offense we've seen thus far.
I'm actually making this my second official lock. I'm also going with the Steelers only because Las Vegas only put up, 10 points against this Bills defense. Not saying this Bills defense is bad, but they're not the Steelers defense. The Steelers defense is so good. I have it low scoring as well. I have actually 17-16. I have in my mind the Raiders winning this game up until the very end, and Kenny Pickett and George Pickens pull it off, and they score to get that last touchdown to win the game. Give me the Steelers. Lock it in.
All righty. Now we're going to head to the Monday night games. We have another doubleheader for you this week. And the first one's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles heading to Tampa Bay. Part of me really wants to pick Tampa Bay. But this Eagles defense has looked really, really solid. This Tampa offensive line, I feel like, is really holding this team back. But so far they haven't been punished because they've gone against 2 weaker defenses. So I do think Philly is going to do a decent job of slowing down Tampa's offense. So I do think, Tampa will have a decent game on offense, but not, anything crazy. And then on Philly on the offensive side of the ball, I think, this Buccaneers defense has looked pretty solid. And as this Eagles offense has struggled a little bit, I do think that this Tampa Bay defense can really limit them. And unlike some of the other teams that Philly has gone against, Vita Vea, this team have a really solid run defense. I don't think they're just going to be able to bully ball like they did against Minnesota that one drive. And so I have it being 27-22 is my score prediction towards the Philadelphia Eagles. I think Tampa's going to actually be in this game. This is going to be kind of, for me, an almost upset. But I am going to go with the team with the better quarterback, the better coaching, just the better talent overall to win this game.
I think I'm changing my answer. I had Bucks because I like what they're doing, but I agree. I mean, Eagles been facing better teams defensively. Bucks. I'm not saying Bucks defense is bad, dude. They're a solid front, man. And like I said, I think I'm gonna keep the score. I'm gonna switch to the Eagles. In my mind, it's more. I don't know why 5 is scary looking at. I'm gonna keep the same score, but I'm gonna have the Eagles win it, 24-23. I think the Bucks can surprise enough people, turn enough heads in this game, because this is a game for them basically. In my mind, if they want to show that they are present in this NFC South, like the NFC South, basically, this is the game to show it. This is like, if they're anywhere close, I really, like I said, 24-23. The way they've been playing is solid. They need this game to really set in stone how they're going to look compared to everyone else.
Yeah,
so I'm changing the answer right now. Exactly. I'm changing my answer to the Eagles, but the Bucks covering a very close game.
Yeah, to me, 5 just feels a little bit high. There's a whole stat about Monday night home dogs. Well, actually, I don't know how true that is recently, but that was a big deal at one point. But I think Tampa's going to keep it close. And as I said, with how scrappy this team's been, I don't see a world in where they don't at least cover the 5 points or keep it around the 5-point mark. But yeah, I'm going for the almost upset of the week being the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Finally, the last game we have for you, the LA Rams traveling to Cincinnati. Obviously, Cincinnati might have been the biggest, them or the Chargers have been the most disappointing team thus far through 2 weeks. And part of it has been Joe Burrow hasn't looked 100%. And he's still been limited in practice. If you come back too early from a calf strain, you're going to re-aggravate it. It seemed like you just re-aggravated it. We don't even know if he's fully going to play yet, and B, even if he does play, what version of him we're going to get. I really don't know. To me, this Rams team has looked really solid with Matthew Stafford. So I'm actually going to go with the Rams to have the Monday night upset to win 31-28. Even if Joe Burrow plays, I think the Rams are going to win this game. And if Joe Burrow doesn't play, then I definitely would feel really confident the Rams play or the Rams win. The defense has looked solid. This offense has moved the ball well. Puka Nacua has been a stud. And until the Bengals show me that they're the Bengals, I'm not going to just assume that they're going to be a Super Bowl team until we see Joe Burrow actually look great and Jamar Chase get involved in this offense.
I completely agree. Disclaimer, right now I have Bengals. I have Bengals in my mind. I can't bet against them, even though they are 0-2. I can't say no. Even with Joe Burrow being on the fence, I have them winning, but I do have the Rams covering. I have 28-26. But disclaimer, if Burrow is out, I am full head of steam with Rams. Without a doubt, I don't think Jake Browning can do it. But the Bengals, in my opinion, have just been up and down. The end part of last week, if you cut back the last quarter, they looked solid. They were like, oh shit, we're down. We need to try to win this game. And they were moving the ball very, very good. It's just, for some reason, at least the start of the games for them is just so slow that it's really hurting how they play throughout the rest of the game. They're kind of playing pickup at the very end. They're like, oh shoot, we kind of have to oh my gosh, and then kind of get back into it. They're trying to force their way back into it. When if they just play like that throughout the entire game, they will be a solid team. But it really does depend on Joe Burrow being 100%. He's not going to be 100% this game if he does play. But the man has got grit. He's got toughness. He's a very smart player. It's just whether or not, if he is not 100%, this offensive line will give him enough time to make those quick decisions that he does. Give me the Bengals, but like I said, it really depends on him.
Exactly. All righty. Well, that was all of our picks there for y'all today. So please, if you stuck around for this long, let us know what you agree with. Let us know how dumb we are for predicting your favorite team to lose. Before we head out of here, is there anything else you'd like to add?
All good.
Perfect. All right. Well, if you stuck around for this long, please go ahead and like and subscribe. We'll be back with some more videos for you very, very soon. Thank you all for watching.